class.
Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us today. We are going to have some fun making some purse charms today. But through this craft, you are going to learn all of the basics of UV resin. You're going to learn how to use molds, how to use bezels, how to put it all together, how to string it into a purse charm, and what you can put in resin, what you can't put in resin, how long to cure it. We're going to answer all of your burning questions. Thank you so much for joining us. My name's Stephanie Manor. I'm here representing Blue Moon Studio and UV Resin Craft. So let's switch to the top-down camera, take a look at some of the things that we're going to be making today. Okay, so these are purse charms. So you can see they've got this giant lobster clasp at the top. It's a swivel clasp. See, it swivels around like that. Now, all of the things that are on here, all of these charms you can either buy at Michael's or we're going to make together today. So some of them, like this one, that's something that you buy. And this one, that's something that you make. And we're going to show you how to make all of those. So this little set of purse charms, those all dangle from chain. And then this little set of purse charms, those all dangle from cord. So we'll show you how to do both techniques. And I think it looks best when it's all kind of jumbled up. You've got a mixture of colors. So let's move these out of the way. Let's talk about the things you're going to need. I hope you're crafting along with us today. If you are, give us a shout out in the comments. We are using this. This is the star of the show. This is UV Resin Craft UV cured resin. And UV cured resin is exactly what it sounds like. It cures in UV light. UV light comes from a light or it comes from the sun. And so you can see this is hard type resin. This is the small bottle. If you get really into this, which spoiler alert, you're going to love it. You might want to get the big bottle, but this is all sold at Michael's and on michaels.com in the jewelry making department. We have a whole bunch of other things to work with this. We have some silicone molds that we're going to be using. We have some bezels that we're going to be using. Bezels are just like frames. We're going to fill that up with stuff. We have some pre-made charms over here. And this is a great way to use up any loose charms that you have and also loose beads. You know, you buy a whole strand of beads, you have a few of them left. This is a great project to use all of those. We have a bunch of other findings over here. Chain. We're going to show you how to make these things into earrings along the way. So you're going to want to have all of those hardware pieces to go with this as well. Um, and then here is our UV lamp. So if I hit the top of it, that button turns it on. This is a 9-watt UV light. Now, as I mentioned, this also cures in the sun. The sun is the OG of UV light lamps. So if you put it in the sunlight, it will cure in just a few minutes. We also have some tools like some silicone mixing bowls. We have some wood sticks over here. We're going to be using those. And then this blue thing that you're looking at, this is silicone mat. So you'll notice there's a trend of using silicone, and that is because cured resin doesn't stick to silicone. You can just peel it right up and you're good to go. All right, so we're going to just jump right in to our very first thing, which is going to be very basic. So here is a mold. Again, these are all sold at Michael's, and a lot of these, like this one, is exclusive to Michael's. You're not going to find this anywhere else. But this is an earring mold. So you can see, especially if you look over here, very easy to imagine that this is sort of like an earring topper, and this is a shape, like a bar dangle earring, but lots of other shapes here too. We are going to use this middle shape here, this middle circle. And let's mix up some resin. So we are going to take a silicone mixing bowl and our bottle of resin. I'm going to pour it directly into the bowl because I want to mix some stuff in there before I pour it into my mold. And so I'm just eyeballing about what will fill this cavity here. And then I'm going to go in with some pink glitter. And any type of glitter, perfect to use. with resin. This happens to be slightly more chunky glitter. If you love glitter like I love glitter, it's a very easy way to color your resin. So you're getting the glitteriness, but you're also coloring it pink. And so you want to add a good amount in there. And that amount is up to you. I always say measure it with your heart. And mix that up. So you can see the consistency here. And then the one supply that is the most important that I mentioned is keep a paper towel off to the side. So when your wood stick gets all gloopy, you can kind of just wipe it off. All right, so we are just making a pink disc. So I'm going to pour that right in there. And I'm just sort of making sure it flows to all parts. And if you don't feel like you have it quite filled up, you can go in a little bit from the bottle. Let me scrape out what I have here. Okay, so just making sure that it has flowed to all of the edges and that the mold is completely full. And then you bring in your lamp and the mold fits perfectly underneath it and you turn it on. So one click of that lamp and that is going to run this for a minute. And I'm going to cure this probably for 2 minutes, maybe even 3 minutes. So if it was just pure clear resin, maybe just a minute or two is all it needs. But we have a bunch of glitter in there. That is blocking some of the light. So you do need to cure it for longer. So I would say about 3 minutes is probably good on something like this. Now, there are a lot of things that you can add into the resin. They block the light in different measures. So if you're adding something that's really dark, if you're trying to tint the resin very dark, which we're going to show you how to tint, you just need to cure it for longer or cure it in layers. So as I said, this is going to run for a minute. If this was a sunny day, I could put it on my windowsill and let the rays from the sun, it cures it beautifully. Let it do its thing. And probably in about 5-10 minutes, it depends on so many factors. Where you are in the world, how strong the sun is, if it's cloudy, if your windows have UV protection, a lot of different things. But you'll know when it's, okay, so that went off. Let me turn that on again. You'll know when it's cured because it turns into beautiful, like a hard plastic, like this. This is a little butterfly. This also came out of a mold, and this was colored. Oops, this was colored using blue glitter, and that's, you can see if I tap it on there, it comes out very hard and beautiful. So when you use a mold, the edges just come out so clean and nice. And this front edge that you're looking at is actually the underneath part of the mold. I hope that makes sense to you. All right, so that's gone. You'll notice that I put my little silicone cup here to the side. I'm hoping that it catches some of those UV rays because that's the easiest way to clean up these cups. You see how that now can just be thrown into the trash? Kind of takes away some of the gloopiness and makes cleanup a little bit easier. Okay, let me put that off to the side. I'm gonna put that on again. So the first thing you'll notice when you pick it up is that it's a little warm. It's not warm because the light bulbs in there are really strong. It's warm because of this chemical reaction that's happening when the light turns it into a solid state. So if I press on it, you can see that wants to pop out there very easy. And this is what I have. Now, at this point, if you notice that it's a little sticky, there's a little stickiness kind of on the sides. You can just flip that over and put that under the UV light. Okay, so simple as that. you have a disc. Now, you can put things on top of that disc. You can put, let me see. I want to show you guys because I love this technique. We also have molds that are letters. And so you can do a mold on mold technique, which we will do in the next step. So I want to show you how to do that, but we are going to move on to another. So we are going to make two things. First, I want to show you the mold on mold technique. Then I want to show you how to use it with flowers. So using UV resin with dried flowers, it's like a match made in heaven. Super fun. And to do that, we do a little bit of a layering technique. If we want to get a color behind the flowers. So let me show you what we're going for. This is the example. This is a circle. I'm gonna do it in this little teardrop shape. But you can see the flowers are very clearly seen because they are on a background of this sort of light blue color. If you look at it from the side, you can almost see that the flowers are entrapped in like a clear layer, and then the color goes in the back. So I'll show you how to do that. So now we're working on layering. So I'm going to go straight from the bottle into the mold, and I just want to put a thin layer. I just want to be able to get that resin to coat in a layer along the bottom. So I can turn my mold like this, or I can get in there with a wood stick and move it around. Okay, so now we are going to go in with some flowers. So right where the resin is sold, you're going to find all of the fun stuff to put inside the resin right next to it. And so this is an example of some of the dried flowers. There's also ones that look like this. There's also ones that look like this that come with some greenery. So a little bit of everything. I'm going to open up this yellow one though. There, I just took that out of the package. And so here I'm going to use my wood stick, get a cleaner one for you. There you go. And just dip it in a little bit of that resin. That way we can pick the flower up easily. And I always like to look at the front and back to see which side is prettier. And I think this side is prettier. So the prettier side I want facing down. And these are very, very delicate. So proceed with caution. I like that side. So I'm just going to do two flowers. And I'm pressing them down in there. And just kind of taking a look. I want to make sure that this resin has flowed all the way around. See this little peg thing here? That is going to create a hole in the top of the charm so that we can connect it to something else later. So great question I just saw come up in the comments. And the question was, how long do you have to work with the resin? Does it only cure under light? And yes, you are correct. It only is going to cure when it's exposed to UV light. So I can leave this. I can come back to it tomorrow. I can come back to it next month. And as long as there is no UV light in this room, it's going to remain in this liquid state, which means that you know, you don't want it to be next to an open window because it will start to cure before you want it to. So you do have like total control over the process. All right, so I am going to cure that as a first layer. So far in that layer is just the clear and the flowers. And while that's going, I'm going to push this off to the side. While that's going, I'm going to mix up a pretty blue color, keeping this as far away from the light as possible. right, putting that a little bit in there. And then you want to work with, give this a little shake, resin tints. So several different colors available. And this is how you can add tint. And a little bit of this goes a long way. I'm just going to put the tiniest little bit. We can always add more. And in fact, the blue tint I found is super concentrated. So I'm afraid that if I add this directly in my cup, I'm going to overdo it. So I'm actually going to add a little bit onto this packaging piece. That way I can add it in bit by bit. So first, let's give this a stir. I added one little drop of that yellow. You can see how that has tinted it. And now let's add a little bit in here. Adding it a little bit at a time. And you just keep mixing until you get the color that you want. That is going through some green stages here. Still pretty green. All right. And I am going to add one little drop of white. You don't want to add too much of any opaque colors because opaque is the enemy of UV resin. Oh, that one's not open. Let me get an open one. So I'm just going to add one little drop. And now we're kind of have like a sagey. Boy, when I look at my monitor, that looks like a totally different color than what I'm seeing with my eyes. What I'm seeing with my eyes is like a pretty sage color. And I look at the monitor and I'm like, oh goodness, that is not cute. A little bit more blue. All right, so that is cute to me. It's pulling very yellow in the camera, but let's go ahead with it. And so now this first layer, let me tap on it just to show you, that is hardened. And so now we're just going to add a thin layer of this. So this is effectively the back.
And Stephanie, just know that from my side, that is a beautiful green spring color.
Okay. All right, good. And in my experience, the thinner you can get a color that has this much opacity, the better. So I'm not even going to fill up the mold the whole way. I'm going to keep this really thin. If you do get a little bubble, do I see a bubble? You can kind of just poke it and it'll pop. And let's put that under. All right, so here is the cup that I used earlier. So you can see how easy the cleanup is. To get those little bits of glitter, which, glitter is like the hardest thing to remove. I found using a piece of tape to get those little bits. And because it's silicone, you can invert it and really get in there. Oops. I just want to clean this up a little. Because I want to show you that mold on mold technique. I'm just going to put the teeniest little bit here in this cup. Again, keeping it away from the light. And I'm going to bring out the glitter. And who's the last person that commented? Can somebody shout that out to me?
That was Dr. Andrea, I think it's Nista.
Andrea? Okay, so we're going to do an A. And this alphabet mold is great. So, UV resin craft was designed as a jewelry making line. So that is why all of these things are just so tiny, because they are made for small jewelry and accessories. There are other alpha molds out there that are more the size of like a keychain size. This is just like the perfect size for jewelry. So you can see I'm filling it up drop by drop. I'm also poking at it a little bit just to make sure that I don't, didn't like trap a big bunch of air in there. Okay. Wiping off my wood stick. And here we go. Let's see what we have over here. So that went for a minute. I'm going to fill the rest of the back of the mold up. So really what we have is that color, it's sandwiched between clear. And when you have an opaque color, that is the way to go. So you can get that color payoff, but don't have to worry about it not, the light not being able to reach. All right, so now we have two things. I'm gonna put them like this and put the light on top. All right, you guys still with me? So we've done single mold, we've done dried flowers, we're doing mold on mold technique. And next I want to show you how to work with bezels. So there's two most common ways of working with UV resin. The first is molds, the second is bezels. These are bezels. And these are shaped ones. More commonly, you'll see bezels, my drawer here, that are just, like a circle or a square or a rectangle. So I want to do this star. So let me take that out and just remove the little packaging tie. All right, so I have that ready to go. And while this is going, I'll show you a few other things that we made with molds. This was from like a galaxy class, I think, that we did. I can't remember which class this is from, but this is the same technique that we did with the flowers. We did a gold little charm here and encapsulated that in clear, and then we added this swirly blue to the back of that. So it really makes the things in front pop. This same technique. This is a little butterfly charm with dried flowers. So we put the dried flowers in a layer of clear and then put white in the back. That one is so, so pretty. And then same, let me turn that on again. I'm gonna kind of turn this around. I always like to make sure it's like getting all parts of it. And then this is another example. So this is a two-part earring. So you got the earring topper and the bottom. And same thing, we took our little greenery that is in a clear layer with a layer of white in the back. So when I turn to the side, you can really see that. And then you connect the two into an earring. So I hope I'm giving you tons of ideas. I'm going to throw a lot of ideas at you because I love this material and I want you guys to see how you can craft with it in all these different ways. All right, so here's our A. So you can kind of pop it out and see like it's ready. It's ready to come out. Oh, it's a little sticky. See when I touch with my finger how it'll kind of stick to my finger? That's when I know maybe I need to put it under there for another minute. And let's check this guy out. And that's what that looks like. And now you can see here on this side, got a little a little dingling. What is it? Not a dingling, a little hanger on. I don't know. But here's how easily you deal with that. So you can just take some like end snippers. You can just snip that right off. And it's like gonna wanna release in the right spot. Okay. And if you still have a little bit of roughness there, you can go in with an emery board and just kind of clean that up. If you have any little, I don't know, imperfections along the side or jaggedy bits. All right. Okay, so we have an A for Andrea, and we have our disc that we made. Bringing you in. Bring you in. Oh, come on. There we go. All right, so on my disc, I'm just looking for that hole in the top. And so you can see how you can personalize a charm very easily. All this one you can't see that well on screen. A question from Kaylee or Callie. Can we do a class with a faceted gem mold? Yeah. Let's see. I have my faceted gem mold. It is a little dusty here. This is the mold she's talking about. So I'll give you an idea here. Here's a letter. Let's put that inside of a gem and fill it with clear. And that is going to look super cute. If we have time, I'll come back to this mold and we'll make some cute stuff in there. All right, but back to our disc and our letter. And to connect the two, we're just going to use some clear resin. I'm going to put a little bit on there and set it down. And then pour a little bit more on top. And trying to keep in mind where that hole is, where we're going to hang it, because that will be the top of our, there it is. He's all crooked. Let's switch it. So I could have done a different color of glitter because at least in the monitor, that really looks the same. To my eye, it looks very distinct. But once I have the A exactly where I want it, let's lock it in. And that is a mold on mold technique. So either by molding something and placing it on the top of a shape or molding something and placing it inside another shape. Okay, so let's move on to bezels while that's going. So for bezels, you need another supply. It is this special tape. I'm going to zoom back out here so you could see what I'm doing. It's this special tape. This is a special low tack polyester tape. And it is also sold right there with the resin. I'm just going to cut a little piece of it. And with the sticky side up, I'm going to stick my bezel down. Really make sure that it is stuck down. And so these steps that I'm doing are all the steps you need to prep a bezel, whether it's a star bezel or a circle bezel. You'll do the same thing every time. Let's move our light away.
Hey, Stephanie, can I ask you a couple of questions?
Yeah.
So there's a question asking, can you buy a resin kit that includes everything to get started? I did put the resin starter kit, but
Yeah.
I'm not for sure if there's any other kits available.
Yeah, that's the right one. The resin starter kit, it will have like the resin, the light, it'll have step-by-step instructions, it'll have a specific project for you to follow. So yeah, that's a good one.
And then someone is also asking, could you do the same thing if you had the A and B resin or epoxy, I do believe.
Yeah. Yeah, so AB resin, for those of you that don't know, is another name for epoxy resin. And that's where you have two bottles of two different things, and they're usually labeled A and B. And you have to mix them together very, very carefully and um, in the same amount. And then you use it in the very same way that I'm using things here. Um, so it's different from UV resin in the sense that, first of all, you have to wait like 24 hours, maybe 36 hours. I'm not sure total cure time for AV resin. So it's not instant like we're doing here. What we're doing here is instant crafting, which I love because I don't like waiting for things. Um, and it's also different in the sense that it does create a lot of bubbles. You have to be very careful with how you mix it. So, yes, the techniques or the projects that I'm showing you can be done with AB resin. It's just a little bit of a different way of working with it and some different challenges. Okay, so we have the bezel on tape. I'm going to do a very thin little layer. And see, I did get one bubble there. I don't know if you guys can see, but I'm going to pop it and it's gone now. So this first layer, you want to make sure you drag it into all the corners. And this is just to make sure we don't get, that we can design on top of this and we don't get any like seepage. We don't want it seeping under the edges there. And let's lock that in. And take a look at what we have here. So now we have an A charm. It's got some 3D-ness to it. And so that's mold on mold. Another mold on mold piece, but no, I can't find it. But this one I'll show you while this one is going. So when we talk about what can go in the resin and what can't, nearly every material works inside resin, from paper, stickers, um, magazine clippings, ribbon, fabric, flowers, stone, glass, metal, plastic, sand, shells, like the list goes on and on and on. And what you see here is a badge pin that we made. Oh, and that just popped right off. Well, that has been sitting there. It probably got loose. But you can see the pin back on the back of that. And then on the front of it, that is a sticker, like from the paper crafting aisle at Michael's. This was from a back to school teacher's class that we did. And so we just put the sticker inside the clear resin and then put the darker glitter on the back of that and made a little pin. Okay, so here we go. So now our sticker, sorry, stickers on the brain now. Our bezel is ready to go. It's prepped. And now we just get to do the fun part, which is decorating on top of it. So let's see, what should we do? I really love these little pearls. If you're interested in getting a variety of stuff to put in the resin, this is a great item to buy. This is the Mega Filler Kit. So it's got a bunch of different glitters and flaky confetti type things. It's got some dried flowers, some polymer clay flowers. And the pearls are in there. It's also got some tiny, tiny, tiny metal charms. But the pearls, these are tiny little pearls. They don't have a hole, so that makes them perfect. I'm going to do some pearls in this one. So putting another little drop of resin. I'm not going to add any glitter. I'm not going to add any color. We do need a paper towel. I'm just going to go with clear resin and pearls. Kind of moving this resin so it doesn't get clumped. And just trying to make them one in each little arm of the charm. Just a little closer. And I just want to really be fussy with it to make sure that they are where I want them to be, because as soon as I turn that light on, they are going to get permanently locked in place. See, that one's scooching. That one's scooching. Get back there. Okay. Is that even? No, this one moves. This one moved. This one moved. Okay. I think I'm going to get them where I want and turn the light on really quickly. Boom. Okay. So within about 10 seconds, it's just, less than 10 seconds. It is just going to lock those in place. I'm going to move this to the side and show you some other bezel pieces. So here is a circle bezel. This one, so we did kind of go over the edge here with some resin, but here is not flowers, fruits, polymer clay little fruit slices. Here we have the little Saturn. This was turned into an earring. And that just has some blue tint and little flaky bits. And this is another galaxy piece made with a bezel. This was turned into a necklace. All right, so that went for a minute. And now I'm just going to fill it up with resin. I just put a drop in the center, and now I'm just kind of moving that around, getting that to the edges. And you can really take your time to do that. But let's call that one done. All right, moving that off to the side. All right, doing a time check here. We are rapidly approaching a point where I need to stop playing with resin and start showing you how to make this, how to do all this. So let's get that part started. All right, so you are going to want your swivel clasp. We're going to do the cord version first. So let me I'm going to use this peak cord. And I'm going to cut a piece. You want to cut a piece that's about approximately half of the length of your intended dangle. So if you want your thing to dangle for 3 to 4 inches, then you want to cut it at about 8 inches. Always cut it a little longer than you think because you're going to be knotting this and leaving a tail. All right, so once you cut that, you want to find the middle and then take that middle through the loop. And this is called a dove's head knot, I believe. Oops. This, one of those guys. And that is how you're going to connect all the different colors. I'll show you our finished piece here. You can see there's 4 different dangles on that one because we are going to be adding a charm to the free end of both of these. So for every 1 string you add, you're getting 2 charms. So let's do some planning of our charms now that that's on there. So we have some of these I made earlier. This is just clear with candy sprinkles. That one's fun. Here I have a little pink star. And here's our pink A. Let's put this guy on there, our periwinkle galaxy. And then let's add some charms that we bought at Michael's. This one matches that, so I definitely want that. This is the, for me, this is the fun part. This is where you get to like be a designer, you know. I love that. Okay, so 2, 4, 6. All right, let's just do 6 charms because that'll mean 3 threads. And some of, it's super simple to add some of these. It just depends on what is at the top. So for charms like this that have that hole at the top, I found it's easier to add a jump ring and then connect your string to the jump ring. All right, so here's jump rings. Those. And you're going to want some little pliers. And the larger the jump ring, the easier they are to handle just with your finger and 1 plier. But the smaller they go, you're going to want a plier on this side too. So when you open your jump ring, you are opening it like a coil like that. And then you slide your charm on and close it in the same way. All right, so let's add jump rings to all of these that need it. Okay, so to connect it to this, it's a very, oops, I didn't close that all the way. A very simple overhand knot. You want to go through and then situate your charm where you want it to go. If you want it to hang more toward the middle of the purse charm or more toward the end, and then just a simple overhand knot. Bring that through. And I like to do twice. Give it a really nice tight. And it's as simple as that. Now, let's also make some ones with beads. So on this end, I'm going to put this little tassely bit, but I want to add some beads on here. So I have just some glass seed beads. And I can string those on first. The only thing is you want to make sure you're choosing beads with a big enough opening to go on there. Some of the pearls especially have very small holes through them, so they can be hard to string. Okay, So I have just 2 beads, and then I'm going to string on my jump ring and tie the same thing on. And if you really want to get that tight, you can grab the end with your pliers and really yank on it. And I like to leave the end just long like that. I think when you have all the charms together, it really kind of adds to that kind of free-flowing style. All right, let's keep going. We're going to add more beads on this one. So this string is slightly thinner. That will help. Just find the middle. And then coming up through and both ends through. Pull tight. Okay, so on this thinner cord, here's where I can add all my little seed beads. Cute. Does anybody else get so excited if they make something, or is it just me? I know I'm here to teach you guys, but I just get so excited like when I see pretty things like that, like that little tray of beads makes me happy for some reason that I can't fully explain. I'm trying to find beads that will easily go on the end here. Ha ha ha. All right, got that one. I want some of these like pearly ones. I'm doing the old fashioned lick your fingers and do this to your string. Oh, that one. I'll pick that up with a vacuum. The hardest part I'm going to have in this class is stringing these dang beads. I don't want to have to put a needle on there. Oh, okay. All right. I'm just going to have to go with the bigger hole beads. Okay. All right. And let's see this one. I'm not even going to add a charm. I'm just since this bead is so big, I'm just going to let that be the star. I'm also going to knot it a little higher up. All right, so we have 2 strings, 4 dangly bits, but I think that you guys are getting the hang of it, of how this is going to go. Keep adding to your heart's content. All right, let's move on to the other piece. Sometimes when you buy the swivel charms, they're attached to a key ring. So it's up to you if you want to keep that key ring on there or if you want to just add your pieces directly to the swivel clasp. I'm going to remove this key ring and add mine directly. Because I don't need the key ring, I'm going to clip this onto my purse. All right, so this one's silver. I know I definitely want to add that one. I have some beautiful beads here. I'm going to add that. And then we'll see how many I can do of this. And let's see. Also have these charms. Are these the cutest things or what? I love these little fruit charms. So we're going to use some of those too. All right. I wish I had another gold clasp, but I don't. So we are going to be using silver clasp with gold chain. So this one, we are going to use chain to add all these. So this one, you are going to want to use jump rings. So let's first cut our chain into various lengths. Anywhere between 2.5 to 4 inches. Go. So for each of these, we're going to need a set of jump rings. Here. And some larger ones for the ends. Okay, so just like we attached jump rings to the last set, adding a jump ring here, but before I close that, I want to add the last link of chain to the jump ring, then close it. Scoot all this up so you can see better. Oh, now that's what happens when you don't close your jump ring the whole way. See this little bypass in the jump ring? You have to make sure that that is completely closed, or your chain will pop off like mine just did. That's one. Another jump ring. So we are coming close to the end here. If you have any burning questions, now is the time to ask them. And if I'm looking down and don't see it, somebody can just yell out at me, hey, you've got a question. And use this. And this is just the assembly part. So you do want to, please, if you've enjoyed this, we have 2 more classes coming up that you'll be interested in. We have a St. Patrick's Day resin class. We have a beautiful, beautiful Easter class coming up. And before you guys sign off, I just want to give a shout out. If you want to connect with me, I'm on Instagram at Stephanie Menor Creates. That's my name, Stephanie Menor, with the word creates on the end. You can find me on Instagram and we can be friends. Let's keep going here. I'm just going to keep assembling until it's time to go. I am going to add some more beads to this one. To do that, you're going to want to have a head pin. See this little like nail looking thing? That's a head pin. And I can stack beads on a head pin, which I definitely want to stack this one. Maybe this one. See, I made a little stack there. And to turn that into a loop, you're going to want to have a special pair of pliers. This is a round nose plier. First, you make it at 50 degrees, 50, 90 degrees. And then snip off the end of that to trim it. And then with this little bend, you bend it back and bend it back again. And that's how you get a loop in the top. And that loop in the top, we are going to connect to our chain. Running through this last part really fast, but these steps that I'm working through, these are just the basic building blocks of beading and jewelry making. So using jump rings, creating loops until I'm just kind of keep working this until I like the composition that I'm going for. I'm also looking at which ones need to be longer, which ones need to be shorter, and kind of adjusting from there. All right. So I just want to add one more. I'm gonna add this banana. It's so cute. I want that to go about right there. So I know that I need like a shorter piece of wire chain for that. And this banana already has a jump ring attached to it, so I can use that one. Open it up. And close this up. For these small jump rings, I need to bring in another plier. Okay, I think that's a cute little, and then we just attach them all to this side with jump rings. So I want to thank you guys so much for joining us. I hope you try out UV resin. I hope you go and have fun making things with charms. Do check out the classes and events page at michaels.com and join us for the next 2 weeks of classes. Follow me on Instagram, and we will see you next week. Thanks a lot, guys. We'll see ya.